Hey guys, it's Vive. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about the Fallout 4 VR performance again because I have some great news for you guys. I have been struggling with the performance in Fallout 4 VR ever since the game was released. I've made 4 videos of the game, or maybe 3. Anyway, the performance has been awful. So much reprojection, between 30 to 50% actually. And while recording the game, doing some gameplay videos for you, it was kind of impossible because that actually made the performance even worse, of course. So guys, I've been working on this between my night shifts at work, and I finally found out what's the big problem with Fallout 4 VR and why the performance is so bad. Because a GTX 1080 Ti should actually handle a game like this, don't you think? And well, yes it does. Guys, this is not gonna be an easy procedure. To make this to run as good as this, you're gonna have to spend at least 1, maybe 2 or even 3 hours to make it to work. And I'm gonna explain you how you make it and what you have to do. But first, I'm gonna prove you by showing you how the game performs on my computer right now, even while recording, with super sampling of 1.5 in Steam VR, with rendering resolution of 1.0 in the game itself, and also with no reprojection at all activated. So first to prove, the short little gameplay video inside of some of the areas inside of the game, how it works. Afterwards I'm gonna show you how you make it to work, and maybe the most important part for you guys to really understand is why you have to do this, because there is a very good reason why the game performs so bad at most of the computers out there right now. There is a very good reason, and you may be a little bit surprised. So guys, join me into virtual reality for a moment and I'm gonna show you my performance in Fallout 4 VR. Let's go! Guys, we're gonna start off this little test inside of Sanctuary. So I'm gonna walk just a little bit and just to show you how butter smooth this actually is. Have in mind I'm recording this at the same time, so it may be some kind of performance hit while doing so, of course, with the OBS Studio software. Well, let's jump into Steam VR. You're gonna see so far we have 1 dropped frame out of many. This is the stats you got in Steam VR. If we go back here and go into Steam VR, you're gonna see that I'm having super sampling of 1.5 and I'm not using any reprojection at all. Not asynchronous, not interleaved, and no, not always on. So let's move on for a bit then. And we're gonna move on to some more demanding areas in a second, just like the Diamond City and, well, some others, just to show you how well it actually works. It's totally butter smooth right now, guys. Of course, I'm not sure if the recording is actually going to take up some performance. It maybe will, and also I don't know if this capture is going to be totally fluid, but I'm rotating around right now. I have no reprojection on. I think I've seen 1 lost frame, but I mean, that's nothing. So let's check into Steam VR again. And we have 12 dropped frames, and that is out of statistics. That is out of 38,000 frames. No reprojection at all because I have not this on. No timed out frames, that's good also. And now it's 13 frames. So there is a slight drop, but also remember I'm recording this at the same time. It just runs so flawlessly. I really hope that the capture in this video shows you how butter smooth this actually looks, because I'm worried that it may look a little bit more stuttery in the video, but this is just like perfectly butter smooth right now. So let's move on to the next area. This is quite near the Lexington. I don't know if you remember in my last video how much I struggled with the frame rate in this part, and well, so far I gotta tell you, it just works great. Let me check. We have 32 dropped frames now, but remember that is out of 67,000 frames. That's quite a lot. We have a few timed out frames as well. But so far I have not seen any stutter, nothing at all. Well, maybe 1 lost frame or something. And of course, if you want to get rid of that, you can use always on reprojection, or even interleaved reprojection would probably fix that. So let's see, let's just go around for a second. This is quite a demanding area actually, much more than the Commonwealth or the sanctuary home. So in this area, playing before, I had so much of stutters and reprojection. It was just crazy, and especially without reprojection, it was kind of unplayable. So as you can see, the shadows, I have lowered out the shadows. That helps a little bit, of course, and it may not look perfect, but still that doesn't really take me away from the immersion. So let's see the settings now. There we have it, 38 lost frames so far, and that is including when we were in Sanctuary. So moving on to Vega assembly plant. So far I have not seen any stutters or any lost frames. This is a very demanding area, especially outside and also inside of Vega. And well, let's see the frame rate first of all. We have 43 missed or dropped frames. We have 5 timed out so far. That is still nothing, because we're not using any kind of reprojection. Look at this, 122,000 frames and only 46 drops. It's dropping like 1 frame in maybe 10 seconds, and so that's, well, really not noticeable. So, well, let's see, let's just go up here and check the performance up here. I guess we could probably get some frame loss here, because this is one of the most demanding areas in the game actually. Oh, we cannot go up here, sorry. Let's go this way. So far, silky smooth gameplay. I don't know if you can see that, but I really do not see any frame loss, no stutters, nothing. And I don't want to fight those guys. I think I'm just gonna sneak up on them over here. And well, for me it's still silky smooth. We're outside of Vega, and well, not bad. Let's see the frame rate. Well, we have 53 dropped frames. Now, I don't remember if we actually lost any frames here, but still, it's great performance, especially without any reprojection. So we are in the Diamond City now, and let's see the frame rate first of all, or the lost frames. We actually lost some frames probably during the loading sequence while I was loading up this save file in the Diamond City. Let's move around a little bit. Well, I think I had one lost frame, to be honest. I think I saw some kind of stutter there. Well, 74, that's one more frame lost. But look at this, look at it's totally smooth. Look at every surrounding, all the things moving around. I don't know if you can see this in this video, but it's silky smooth when I move around compared to before, because we are not using any reprojection, no asynchronous reprojection, nothing. It just works. So, I mean, this is quite unbelievable, to be honest. Let's see the frame drops. We have dropped like 3 frames so far, and this is inside of the Diamond City, guys. I mean, I'm quite amazed, to be honest. No reprojection, 1.5 super sampling in Steam VR. Also render of 1.0 inside of Steam VR, no, in the game, and it still looks flawless. And I think those lost frames in here will probably be halved if I was not recording this at the same time even. So let's see. I'm just gonna move around for a short moment just to show you. Oh, I gotta jump here. Just to show you how the performance is. Well, so far, really a silky smooth experience. And as I said, I'm using a GTX 1080 Ti. It's overclocked up to right above 2000 megahertz or 2 gigahertz. I have a i7 4790K. It's overclocked to 4.6 gigahertz. And it just runs so well without any reprojection. Look at everything moving. I mean, my weapon, every model, everything just looks so freaking fluid. I mean, look at this girl when she's moving. Probably she's gonna move any second. Yeah, there's no stutter whatsoever. She just moves just like she should. And let me check, 78 dropped frames totally. This is, I mean, this is quite crazy. I was really not expecting that big difference. Look at how smooth I mean, if you have the asynchronous reprojection on, it's gonna be so stuttery when everything around you moves, especially the surrounding and your weapons and everything. But this is like incredible, I think. So, well, as I said, no reprojection and kind of no frame loss. Look at this, 84 frames. 84 frames dropped out of 150,000. That is seriously nothing. We also lost like 8 frames because of some kind of timeout. And I'm not sure what that is all about, but probably that's some kind of a latency issue. And let me just go back to Steam VR here and show you. We have only the advanced super sample filter on, no asynchronous reprojection, and still super sampling of 1.5 in Steam VR. The game is at super sampling 1.0. And maybe the biggest benchmark of them all is while standing up here on the Diamond City elevator, and it's totally smooth. We actually lost some frames up here. I've been standing here for a short while, just check the frame rate here. As you can see, my weapon and my Pip-Boy is, well, almost, yeah, it's silky smooth now. No, as I said, we have no reprojection. We have 107 totally dropped frames now, and maybe we have lost like 20 frames or something in here, up here, and I've been standing here for maybe like 3 minutes. But still, it's still a fully smooth experience, no reprojection added, and I can still play the game, and I see seriously no stutter at all. So guys, let's get to the point, and I'm gonna show you how it's possible. I'm gonna show you the procedures you have to do, and don't get afraid, don't close this video, watch it until the end, because I'm also gonna explain you why you have to do this and why this is so important, because there is a very good reason for this. Anyway, there are a couple of procedures. The first one is the most important. This is the one procedure that actually is gonna make maybe 80% of the performance boost or even more. That's the most crucial one. And then there are some other tweaks, just like the INI files, and I'm gonna include in the description my INI files, those INI files, those configurations files in Fallout 4 VR, well, where I actually lower down some settings, and it actually helps a little bit to get the performance even better. And I'm gonna include them, links to them, in the video description down here below. And also there's gonna be some other tweaks in Windows that I actually recommend you to do, that actually is gonna get the performance a little bit better. But the main thing that you actually need to do, guys, and well, I know you're not gonna like it, but there is a very good reason for this. You have to reinstall your Windows 10 and not update to the latest Fall Creators update. Yes, that is the big bad guy in the whole performance issue with Fallout 4 VR. If you run the Windows 10 version without the latest Fall Creators update, you're gonna see such a huge boost in the game. And I think like 95% of all the people out there, you guys, you probably have this update already, because Microsoft is forcing you to update this now ever since a couple of months ago, I think. And if you have updated to this Fall Creators update within the last 10 days, you can actually revert back. If you did that more than 10 days back, you cannot actually go back anymore, so that's impossible. So what you need to do is to have some kind of Windows 10 CD or ISO file or something to just download online, install it, activate it, but the big thing is that you cannot update it to the latest Fall Creators update. And there is a way to do this, and the way is called to defer the update. You can do that up to 365 days. So a year forward from now on, you can actually delay the update from now on until, well, December 2018. You're gonna still get all of the security updates, all of the other updates in Windows, of course, because they are very important, of course. But the Fall Creators update will not be added into your PC. And well, I know it is a hassle, it's gonna take a lot of time. You have to probably find another SSD drive or clear up some space, and do this just for testing purposes. Do not delete your Windows partition, the one you're using right now. Just create a new one, take another disk, like SSD disk. You can even have a mechanical old disk just to try it out. The loading times will be longer, of course, if you don't use an SSD disk, but still, just take any drive, install the Windows 10, and it has to be the version before the Fall Creators Update, the one you see here. That is the version that I'm having right now, and not the later version, because the later version is the Fall Creators Update. So now you may think, and I know you may think that, oh well, by installing a new Windows, you're gonna have a clean computer. Of course it's gonna help with the performance, but not. That's actually not true, because I've spent a lot of time on this, guys. First of all, I installed the Windows 10 on a new SSD drive. I actually updated it until the latest Creators Update and the Fall Creators Update, and I got the same performance. I only installed the Windows, I only installed Steam VR, all the drivers, my TPcast software, of course, because I'm doing the VR wirelessly, and I got the same issues like before. Then I formatted the drive again and I installed Windows again, and then I deferred or delayed that the Fall Creators Update and install all the drivers and everything, and then I start off the game and I just saw the performance boost. It's quite amazing, guys, it's quite amazing. And as I promised, I would like to explain to you very briefly about what is actually causing this issue with the Fall Creators Update. Why do we need to run a Windows version without the Fall Creators Update? Well, your GPU and your CPU is communicating all the time inside of your computer. It's sending instructions from your GPU to CPU and vice versa, all right? Before the Fall Creators Update, there was nothing in between the CPU and the GPU except the driver or the display drivers and some kind of hardware solution, of course. There were no other layers in between that, and it worked great, but the problem is that Microsoft didn't have much control over that. If something went wrong, if the driver or any software or game or whatever crashed, they could not troubleshoot it, they could not see what was going on, they could not optimize it, and so they decided in the Fall Creators Update to add a DirectX layer in between the GPU and the CPU. It's a software layer that's gonna handle all the instructions in between those two units. And this way, they can have full control of the GPU and CPU, well, instructions in between. They can troubleshoot when something goes wrong. If your computer crashes, if the software crashes, they're gonna see why it did so. And well, I think this is a great idea, right? But the big problem here is that the DirectX layer is causing some performance issues. It's probably lowering down the latency time, or I don't know what, but it's causing issues, and that's quite proven by so many people online, on forums, on Reddit, everywhere. So this is the big thing. Unless you get rid of that Fall Creators Update, you're gonna be struggling with those issues. And I think it's really sad, because I don't really understand why Microsoft did that. Well, I know why they did that, but how they could actually screw all the things up so much. To this point, I was not aware that the issues would be so huge compared to the Microsoft Windows 10 version before the Fall Creators Update. I mean, I saw issues before in Adobe Premiere, in OBS software, in games in general, but in Fallout 4 VR, the performance boost is huge if you get rid of that Fall Creators Update, and it's crazy. So, well, this is the reason, and it is true, guys, it is true. Some people may be skeptic about this, but you have to do this to get that performance boost. And I think no matter if you have a GTX 1080 Ti or a GTX 970, you are gonna get a lot of performance boost in this game. It's gonna perform much better with or without reprojection. So, well, that is the first step, all right? And remember, install Windows, defer the feature update. I'm gonna give you a link in the video description how you actually postpone or defer or delay the update for 365 days so you don't get that update automatically updated. You're gonna get all the other updates automatically installed, but not this one. and install all your drivers. Of course, you have to install your HTC Vive or Oculus Rift that you're using. You have to install Steam and install the Fallout 4 VR game again. So yes, it's gonna take some time, probably like 2, maybe even 3 or 4 hours, depending on how fast you are. But I promise you, it is worth it. And that was the step 1. So besides reinstalling Windows and not running the Fall Creators up there are some other tweaks that you may want to do that will bring you some better performance, especially in Fallout 4 VR that is very, very CPU demanding. It uses a lot of CPU power or processor power, and well, first one is to unpark your CPU. This hint, I actually got that from one of my subscribers, Airways ARA. Thank you so much for this. I had no idea that Windows, ever since Windows 7 I think, is parking some of your cores on your processor, and I don't know why it does that. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, please tell me why, but it makes something that the cores are not running at full speed all the time, and it could cause the CPU to not run at 100% as it should. So you're gonna lose some performance with your CPU by having it parked. And there are 2 solutions to unpark your CPU, and they're very, very simple. Either way, you go into the registry editor and you add a line there and you change something, and I'm gonna give you the instructions in the video description down here below, so you can do that, or you download a software so you can just click and unpark your CPU cores, restart your computer, and then your CPU cores are unparked. And I actually saw some performance increasement in Fallout 4 VR, because this is a very, very CPU demanding game. So do the unparking of your cores, and I promise you it's gonna gain you a little bit more of performance. Next thing is that if you are overclocking your CPU, which I highly recommend you to do while playing Fallout 4 VR, no matter what CPU you got there, this game is very CPU demanding. Make sure in your BIOS on your motherboard there is an option to lock the frequency of your overclocking. So if you are overclocking your CPU from 4 GHz to, for example, 4.6 GHz, so the CPU is always on 4.6 GHz and not throttling down or going down and using that boost technology to go up to 4.6 GHz, because that's gonna always add some kind of latency, and it's not gonna give you the full performance of what your CPU actually can give you. So when I changed that settings, I actually noticed a difference in especially those frame dips. When I got some lost frames, I got much less frame lost, and well, it was not a huge difference compared to, for example, that Windows update or Windows reinstallation, but still it is a very important thing to do if you are overclocking your CPU, and that's going to help you as well. Furthermore, the INI files of the Fallout 4 VR game can be customized so much, and I'm gonna give you in the video description down here below links to my INI files, though any files or configuration files with my settings that I am using. I've lowered down some shadows, some other effects, and I still think the game looks great, but it's gonna add you some extra performance as well. So, well guys, that was my 4 tips. Reinstall Windows, get rid of that Fall Creators update, unpark your CPU, also make sure that your CPU overclocking is at maximum locked frequency, and also use those INI files and modify them however you want. You can probably gain even more performance boost by lowering down some other settings. I still have most of the settings on quite high level. It's not so much degraded. I don't want this game to look ugly, you know. So you can probably gain much more performance by changing those INI settings, and there are some cool subscribers of Vive that actually has added their INI settings in the comments of my last Fallout 4 VR video, so be sure to check them out. They could be very, very helpful. Guys, before we end up this video, I would like to talk a little bit about reprojection, because I don't think most people really understand what reprojection really is and what is the difference between asynchronous reprojection, interleaved reprojection, and always on reprojection. Those 3 are available in Steam VR, and you can change them, you can mix them and so. But there is a big difference between those, and I'm gonna tell you what you should use and not use. Guys, let's begin with the asynchronous reprojection. What it does is that it makes the game run in 90 frames per second. As soon as you start to lose your frames, it's gonna help out by reprojection the lost frames. It has a technology that actually makes your head movements silky smooth. It's always gonna be silky smooth, but while you're moving freely with free locomotion, all your surroundings are gonna be stuttery or jerky. You're gonna see like some kind of lag, you know. It's not gonna be butter smooth while the trees and everything are moving. It's gonna be a little bit stuttery, as well as the enemies and everything walking around. While your head is still smooth and it feels good, everything around you is gonna be stuttery, and also the weapons, if you're waving with them, if you're using them, is gonna be stuttery. But there is a thing with asynchronous reprojection. Even if you, well, lose 1 frame per 90 frames, it's gonna add much more than 1 frame in reprojection, at least in Fallout 4 VR. This is what I've noticed. And that is exactly why I'm not recommending you to use asynchronous reprojection if you have a very good performance now after those tweaks. If you have a much better performance in Fallout 4 VR and you're just losing some single frames here and there, do not use asynchronous reprojection, because if you turn that on, you are gonna still get like 5 or 10% of reprojection instead of just reprojecting that 1 missing frame. Is gonna reproject a lot, and it's gonna create that stuttery and juddery image around you. Besides the asynchronous reprojection, we have an interleaved reprojection option, and I'm not recommending this option to anyone, because that is the option that actually lowers the frame rate to 45 frames per second, and it's gonna reproject them into 90. It's gonna work, but as soon as you get some more performance drops, it's gonna get jerky, it's gonna get stuttery when you move your head and so I would actually not recommend you to use this reprojection at all. I just feel it's faulty, and especially in Fallout 4 VR. No matter what performance you got, even if you have a 1 drop frame per minute, it's still gonna be jerky. I don't know why. If you turn that off, it's gonna be silky smooth. And I mean, that's reprojection is not really helping, at least not in Fallout 4 VR. And the last reprojection option is the always on reprojection. And a lot of people may think that always on reprojection, well, it means that it's always reprojecting the picture. So that means it should lower down the frame rates to 45 frames per second and reproject everything to 90, so double up the frame rate. No! Always on reprojection is actually the most basic reprojection type. It's gonna still make your game run in 90 frames per second, but as soon as you have some slight performance drops, just like in my little video in the beginning here when I was jumping into the wasteland in the Diamond City and so, if you're losing some frames here and there, it's gonna reproject them, but everything else is still gonna be smooth. So you're gonna get a smooth experience, smooth head turning, you're gonna have smooth weapon handling, everything around you is still gonna get smooth. And this is actually the best reprojection setting to use in Fallout 4 VR, especially as long as you're not having heavy issues. Well, like I had before, for example, with like 30, 40, 50% of reprojection, because in that case everything is gonna get stuttery when you move your head, so I would not recommend you that. But if you have just a small dip in performance in Fallout 4 VR, use always on reprojection. I didn't do that in this video right now to show you, but if I did, I would actually have probably those lost frames reprojected, and the picture would be butter smooth without even 1 single lost frame. So now I hope that you understand what reprojection is all about and what setting you should use in Fallout 4 VR first of all. There are other games, of course, in VR that may perform better with asynchronous reprojection, but in Fallout 4 VR, the asynchronous reprojection is quite faulty. There's something wrong with it. There's just something wrong. It's gonna reproject even though it doesn't have to reproject. And that is weird. Guys, anyway, I really hope that this little video, I know it's way too long, but still, I really want to make sure that you understand what you're doing and why you're doing this. And I really hope that this video was helpful for you guys. And I really hope that you're gonna get some much better performance in Fallout 4 VR now. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel, Vive. There's gonna be more Fallout 4 VR content. I'm gonna dig deeper inside of this. Also some other things besides the performance. I'm gonna probably do some more gameplays, some cool hidden stuff, some tips and tricks, some modding as well. So there's gonna be a lot of cool Fallout 4 content, as well as other VR content as well, and gameplays of other cool games coming up. So subscribe to my channel, please leave a like on this video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day, and a Merry Christmas to you as well. But I will be probably back before Christmas, because I have some really cool VR hardware coming in later today actually. So I'm gonna work on a video now with some very cool thing. And no, I get disappointed, it's not Pimax 8K yet. I will have to wait for Pimax 8K for a while, probably until January at least. But there is something different, but I think you may like it and find it interesting. So guys, take care for now, have fun in virtual reality, enjoy Fallout 4 VR with optimized settings, and see each other in the next video. Cheers guys!